Hello everyone and welcome to NAMM 2021 Virtual. My name is Scott Sugden, Product and Technology Outreach Manager here at L-Acoustics. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I'm really excited today. We're going to talk all about 3 projects from around the world involving K3, the brand new full range, compact, no compromise solution from L-Acoustics that we announced just a few months ago in the fall of 2020. These 3 projects, one here in Los Angeles, one in Europe, and one in Asia. We're going to dig into those, but first, let's go ahead and start with this project here in Los Angeles at the Vermont Hollywood Theater. Let's take a look at that. And we're going to take a look at this brand new project that installed literally just a couple of weeks ago with our certified provider, Rat Sound, based out of California here as well. This is a really great new renovation, brand new project here in Los Angeles, the Vermont Hollywood Theater, that has a system of left and right 8 K3 per side. And in this situation, the K3 provides a really unique tool and asset that's going to help the venue, help the audience, and help the sound team at the theater. First and foremost, K3 8 aside covers the venue quite nicely. In fact, if I bring open our little SPL target window here and zoom on in, we see we got a couple of enclosures for the top balcony and about 6 for the floor, just stopping short where the front fills are going to kick in. And most importantly here, what we can see is the vertical coverage is quite adequate for 8 aside K3, if not ideal. But more importantly, we get to utilize the 90-degree asymmetrical pan flex setting as this venue is quite narrow. So 8 aside K3 here, all set to 90-degree asymmetric onstage. So if you will, that is, the offstage side has the narrow directivity and the onstage side has the wide directivity, which makes perfect sense for a venue like this where we want to have as much energy off the walls as possible. This is really a unique feature for line source array products on the market, and K3 is well suited specifically for this venue. Back to the K3 here. We're utilizing that pan flex setting. We're also utilizing the auto solvers. So the auto solvers are a set of tools that help simplify and accelerate the process of system optimization. The first step is, of course, auto splay, which is the tool that helps you find the best mechanical distribution of the acoustic energy for the venue. And then auto filter, which helps optimize and normalize the high frequency response across that variation of audience. So that'll help deal with things like throw distance, atmospheric changes, and proximity effects as you get closer to the PA. With K3 here at the Vermont Hollywood Theater, we actually have 3 circuits of K3 for 8 boxes. So that's a 3-box circuit, a 3-box circuit, and a 2-box circuit. And what we get is 3 zones that autofilter can utilize to optimize the response across the audience. What's a really unique feature of autofilter, especially within the L-Acoustics lineup, is that it doesn't require a 1-to-1 ratio of 1 enclosure per amplifier circuit. So you can still get almost all, if not all, the benefit that you would on a 1-to-1 situation with a greatly reduced cost, which can be a big help for projects all around the world, whether they're installs or rentals. I'm going to pop open here real quick as well, just our response curve. And if we go ahead and select the audience, what we see here is with auto filter engaged, we can normalize the response and show the average. We see that the average is very, very, very consistent. In fact, we see deviation of less than 1.8 dB in the high end, even in the low mid. And the only point we see any deviation is when the frequency response gets really low, where the length of the line is not physically long enough to give us a huge amount of control. And even then, we see a very minimal amount of variation, well within acceptable standards for almost any live music venue in the world. So we've got auto filter running 3 circuits, no problem there. In fact, we can take a look and see that the circuit on top has a little bit of error comp boost. The circuit on the bottom, we've cut some of the FIR to reduce the HF as you get close to the system. Makes a lot of sense. So let's take a look at the A-Weight SPL capability of the system, most specifically to understand if the PA here at the Vermont Hollywood Theater would have enough power for rock, EDM, R&B, hip-hop. So the goal there is to see something right about 108 dBA continuous capability. That would mean that it's got enough power for even the loudest shows out there. So switching sound vision into coverage mode, and I've specifically set it for A-Weight SPL. We can take a look at the capability of 1 array, and it looks quite consistent. That's a good start. In fact, if I click in the middle back here where maybe mix might be, we see about 105 dBA. It's a really good sign. If we can achieve 105 dBA in mono, lo and behold, when we turn it on to stereo, we should end up at something pretty darn close to 108. In fact, we see 108.08 at that position. And in the balcony, we see a similar number of 107.75. In front of one source, we see something around a 107. So this looks great. We see a very consistent SPL A-weight across the venue, and we're achieving that 108 number to do EDM, hip hop, rock, some of the loudest shows out there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 to 10K. This really tells us how consistent it will feel in that high-end situation. And already when we look at the rendering in color here, we see it's very consistent across the venue. Up front, we see a selected bandwidth about 111. Back at mix, we see somewhere around 111. Up in the balcony, we see somewhere around 111, 112. So very consistent, high frequency as well as A-weight SPL. Last and not least, many venues, just like this one here in Los Angeles, are always challenged by the weight. Now, it doesn't mean specifically that they don't have enough structural strength to hang a larger PA. It means that if I can have a lightweight PA, or I don't have to fly subwoofers to get that full range sound across the audience, we have more weight to use for other production elements. If we take a look here in Sound Vision, we can see that this array of A to side K3 comes in at just under 900 pounds. It's about 870 pounds. If I do my conversion right to kilograms for the rest of the world here, that is 395 kilogram, or just under 400 kilogram, for a very large, full range, high power PA, yet it's taken up very little weight and space. It is just over 3 feet wide, just under 3 meters, 1 meter wide, pardon me. So this is a really exciting system from our friends here in California, Rat Sound. We're really excited for everyone to get a chance to hear it sometime very soon. Next up, I want to send it to Germany. My friend Martin Rode is going to tell us all about a new project. Martin, how are you?
Thank you, Scott.
Hey, it's good to see you, my friend. So Martin Rode, you're applications engineer for installation for German-speaking world. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm taking care for Austria, Germany, and Switzerland.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Martin, I hope you have had a wonderful holiday and New Year. So we have a project today we're going to talk about. Where in the world is it?
Well, we're talking about a project in Denmark, Copenhagen. It's a project that was handled by my colleague Oscar Meyer, who is not available today. So I'm basically the reporter taking over for him. It's a concert venue that takes part in an old barrack. It was built in 1863 as a hall for military drill, and it's called, so all the Scandinavians probably apologize my bad pronunciation. It's called Fredericia Excessehuset, and it's a concert venue, and it's let's say an old building from late 1800. So nowadays it's a concert venue, as I mentioned, and so they were looking for a new PA system. And the consultant who was involved was Martin Paulsen from Copenhagen as well. And we have been in competition with 4 other top brands out of the loudspeaker manufacturer market. And finally, it was decided that the system that is chosen will be a K3 system, which was sold by our CP in Denmark, Matrix Sales.
Now was K3 the first choice they actually had from L-Acoustics, or did they ponder a few different things along the way?
Initially, they decided to go, or the initial plan was to use a Cara 2 system with KS28 flown behind for an increased LF contour. But as the time moved forward, we were able to offer K3, and it turned out that it was a much better solution because it was a little bit too difficult to fly the KS28 behind the Cara 2. So it was much more easy and a much more lightweighted solution with an increased LF contour, and this was something that they're really looking for.
So it sounds like this venue was looking for a full range solution for the live music applications. And does this venue see local artists, national, international artists?
Yes, of course. So as far as I know, there are typical touring, small-sized touring productions in this venue, and rock bands. So they definitely have been looking for, as far as I know, increased LF contour. Yes, that's correct.
Martin, this venue sounds really interesting. Do we have any visuals, graphics, CAD drawings that might help us better understand what an 1800s barrack in Copenhagen looks like?
We have some nice pictures in the internet that you will see here. So this is
Oh,
how the
wow.
building looks
Yeah.
from the outside. As I mentioned, an old part of an old barrack, formerly called Bülow-Kaserne, which is actually a German word, funny enough, but it's in Denmark. And from the inside, it looks like this. So here
It
you
looks it
get
looks
an
Martin, I would say that looks very acoustically hospitable. Is that a good way to say it? It's a very wonderful looking acoustic space, isn't it?
Yeah, it's full of concrete. It's full of concrete, and as we all know, it's quite challenging. I mean, we will find similar modern buildings with architects being fascinated about concrete nowadays, so new buildings, but this is from 1863,
Yeah.
and you can see the height of the roof is also not
No.
super high.
Yeah, you're right.
So
So it's a really big challenge, and this is a. It looked like it's pretty deep as well. How deep is the venue?
The venue is about 31, 32-meter deep. We will see
Okay.
that later in the modeling.
Okay.
But we have to aim with the system for about 28 meter only because of there's a bar at the
Wow.
last 4 to 5 meters, and so there's no need to spill too much energy to the really to the end of the venue,
No,
especially as there are concrete walls as well.
in a venue like this, obviously they're selling tickets to help pay for the event, but they're also selling beers and other drinks to help make money and revenue. So it's I always find it's really important to ensure that the sound stops just before the bar, so the bartenders can communicate a little easier with the customers.
Ex- Especially if the kids bring the parents, so the parents are at the bar drinking beer and
Yeah,
they don't want to be
yeah,
in
exactly.
the totally loud zone.
So Martin, we obviously can see the visuals of it. It looks like our team also put together a really nice 3D model of this space. You want to show us the sound vision design?
Yes, of course. So we have a basic room model which shows the room here.
Hey
Um,
Martin, hold on one second. That's not very basic looking to me. I see a lot of archways and windows. It actually looks quite representative of that image we had just seen. Um, they
well,
did a they
let's
did
see.
a great job, huh?
That's the way our very famous colleagues from L-Acoustics in France did it when they have proper drawings. So we not always are in the position that we have proper drawings, but in this case, it seemed to be that we have very detailed drawings, and if we have that, they're able to do it.
Oh, fantastic.
But what you can see is I erased basically one side and the roof of the model to get a better view, so that's why I call it basic. What you can see here basically is that we have a design um, with two hangs of K3. Each hang consists of 8 pieces of K3. In addition to that, we have 3 positions with cardioid subwoofers case 28. And in addition, we have 2 positions here with A10 focus working as an info system. If we consider the K3, which was designed as the main system, we can see that we are shooting here in the source code view. We are shooting barely to the end of the room,
Sure,
which is done because of we don't want to produce harsh reflections on the rear side of the venue. And so this gives us a little bit of security not
sure,
to spill too much energy here. On the other hand, we have to cope with a lot of reflections from the side, and this turns out to be something unique in the competition for K3, that we are able to handle the horizontal dispersion with our panflex system. So what we can see here in the horizontal opening is that we have the top 3 K3 set it to plus minus 35 degree, which means 70 degree in total. And the next 4 cabinets have been set to 90 degree, which means that we have plus 55 minus 35 degree, and the 35 degree is of course set it towards the side walls. And then we have a last K3 cabinet, which is set to 110 degree to get the system get a system with a very wide dispersion in the horizontal axis, really in the area right to the front of the stage. Doing that in a 1 to 10K mapping, we can see that we have a very homogeneous SPL distribution. And if we have a look to the rear wall on the back of the venue, we can see that we are spilling not too much energy here. So we are quite safe in terms of having disturbance reflections on the stage.
That's great. And I'm assuming this looks really nice. So that's a really neat feature that K3 allows for in installation, not just for rental, is that you have what the top 3 enclosures narrow with PanFlex at 70. The next 4 are asymmetric, so we're keeping it off the wall as much as possible. And then the bottom one, where we need that width, that downfill enclosure, if we want to think of it that way, that near proximity enclosure is set to 110. Is there another advantage of going to 70? Do we change the SPL characteristic of the box when we go to 70 versus 110 as well?
Of course, we do have a change in the SPL because of we have much higher intensity when we have a 70 opening angle in compared to 110 angle. But what we also have in the L-Acoustic system is that we are using FIR filtering within the array. So what you can see here is that we have definition already in Sound Vision, which amplifier channel do we use for which cabinet. So we have the top 3 cabinets, which are on 70 degree, to discrete amplifier channels, as we have the next 2 pieces on 90 degree, the other 2 pieces on 90 degree, and the last cabinet is done with a single amp as well. What we can do here is the auto FIR calculation, which will give us a most homogeneous frequency behavior over the entire audience. So this is what we can expect in the direct field from our system by using FIR filtering, different FIR filtering on each zone, as you can hear. So this would be the FIR filtering for the top 3. This would be the FIR filtering for the next 2 and the next group and the bottom and 110. So we are quite homogeneous here. And what we also can see here, if we're already looking at the frequency response, that we have a significant LF contour, which means that we have an increase between 400 Hertz around here up to around 80 Hertz, 77, 80 Hertz of about around 10 dB, 9.8, 10 dB already without doing any extra filtering. So this is what the system offers us natively.
That's great. No, it's interesting to see that. And obviously the use of PanFlex and autofilter combined in this venue. So for a lot of people to remember, when you do electronic optimization of a line source array, you really want high resolution, i.e. the least number of enclosures per amplifier when you're really close. But when you're far away, there isn't really an advantage to having a very high resolution of amplifier versus enclosure ratio. So this is a perfect application here where you have, let's say, a low resolution for the long throw, medium resolution for the medium throw, and high resolution for the near throw, and it's combining with PanFlex to really optimize the SPL over the audience. I can't say I've seen many installs where that much of the bandwidth is that tight together in tonal response across the venue, which means as a mix engineer, if you're mixing near the back of the venue, which I assume that's where they're mixing, as they walk forward, it gets a little bit louder, but it doesn't change the characteristics of the mix, which is a really important feature.
Yes, and what you also can see here, which is advantage of how they're using the FIR zones within the array and what you can do with the FIR filtering. As I mentioned at the beginning, the height of the venue, the roof, is not very high. So we're talking about here about rigging height of 5.5 meters um, above the floor, as you can see here. So this is our 0 point at the floor, which means that we have the lowest point of the cabinet at 2.7 meter, which is also not very high. And as you can see on the photo which we took out of the internet, this was a completely different array, but you can see from the rigging points that it was also not rigged very high. So if you have the lowest cabinet that close to the first or to the first rows of the audience area, um, it could get easily very harsh for the people in the front. But if you look to the 1 to 10K um, simulation or mapping here, you can see it looks pretty homogeneous. And due to the fact that we have the 110, we do not have the typical delta in the center here.
Yeah, that's really impressive. This is one of the most challenging venues I've seen in a long time. When we talk about line source array design, when we talk about optimization, one of the things that I always think about is the differential from the shortest throw to the longest throw, right? And in this case, the short throw looks to be maybe 2.5 meters, and the long throw is close to 30. So that difference in numbers there is really striking. That's like a 12 ratio. That's a huge challenge to do that. And to do that this consistently, that's really impressive. So, wow. Martin, now last question I have for you. This venue obviously handles touring acts from local, national, international, all around the world. It looks like it seats somewhere between 1,200, 1,500 people. How much SPL can they produce a weight? Because that's obviously kind of one of the horsepower of the system, and that is a good indicator of keeping artists satisfied going forward.
Yeah, that's no problem. We can do that. If we change over here to mapping full range A-weighted, you can see here the SPL mapping that we can get. So we switched off the back wall here, and we are ending up with 108.2 dBA as a mean average in the direct field. And we see that the mapping offers or results a distribution of 8.3 dBA, which is already quite good as we are in the direct field. So we're not talking about the total sound field, which adds, of course, all reflections and which is much more homogeneous compared to the direct sound field. So this is already quite good, especially if we consider that the height of the lowest cabinet is pretty low, only at 2.7 meters. So it's not so far away from the ear height of the first row of the audience.
I mean, 108 is quite good for just about any. I mean, you could do an EDM concert with 108A RMS. But what I think is really astounding is that the max is only 3.5 dB more, right? So that's like a really great indicator that the people down front aren't going to get blasted with sound, and yet most of the audience in the back is barely hearing it. So I mean, that's a really great aspect of the system there. This is really quite nice. So it's installed
and
now,
it
right?
also needs to be mentioned that what you see here, it's purely the K3. So I didn't consider the front fill system.
Got it. Understood. Martin, so this was installed a week or two ago, is that correct?
It was installed these days, yes, and as far as I know, it will be tuned in the second or third week of 2021.
So any day now, pretty much, is what's going to happen. That's great.
Yeah, and as far as I know, but this is of course not confirmed due to the Corona crisis or COVID-19 crisis. There will be a concert on the next day after the tuning, but we will see if this is happening. I mean, Europe is locked down as the US are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess.
Well, I can't wait for us to get past this moment in time and back to shows. And I have a feeling that artists and audiences around the world are going to look forward to going to this venue and many others as soon as they get a chance to go back and hear shows in person. This really looks fantastic. I want to say thank you, Martin. I want to say thank you, Oscar, and the rest of the team at L-Acoustics who worked on this project over the last few months. It all happened pretty quick because we just announced K3 a few months ago, and it's already installed, so that's really great to see.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thanks, Martin. Now let's head a little bit east of Europe. We're going to head to Asia, specifically to Singapore, where my good friend, the man with only one name, Q. Q, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Scott.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
It's great to see you, Q. I mean, it's been a few months since we've been able to have a beer in person, but it's always nice to see your face and hear your voice. I understand you have a really interesting project for us. It's in Thailand, is that correct?
Yes, in Thailand. It's a house of worship, Liberty Church.
So this is Liberty Church, and it's in Bangkok. And
Yep.
How big is Liberty Church? Is this a small congregation or quite a large one?
This is a new venue for the church. It's about 3,005 pax. The audience geometry, the throw distance is about 32 meters or about 104 feet.
Okay, so this is right in that ideal sweet spot. We always talk about K2. It's 3,500 people, 30-something meters. That's a really nice size venue, pardon me, for K3 if I just said K2. It's been a long day here at NAMM. I apologize about that. So this was installed by our certified provider, correct?
Yes. Vision One is our certified provider in Thailand.
Oh, great. And they just finished the installation, what, last week? The week before?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Ah, excellent.
Yeah,
So
but unfortunately, the system was not ready for the Christmas celebrations. Right.
Well, you know, it's sometimes that happens. Obviously, where a brand new product like this, we built it as fast as we could and put it on the boat and got it to Thailand as quickly as possible, and
Yeah.
we just missed it. But this is the first house of worship install in the world, and it's also the first install in Asia, correct?
Yes.
No, this is really special.
Yeah.
So how did this project come to be? Was there an evaluation of multiple brands?
So this is a new venue. They've been looking for a new system for the new venue since Q3 of 2020. So of course they've been approached by different brands or distributor in the market. So they've been through a few demo. The system was set up in the venue, in another venue, the old venue, and the church will use it over the weekend for the church service. So it's a long demo process. It takes about a few weeks to try a few different brands. The Kara tool was demo for the church. The demo date was 4th of October, set up on the 2nd of October. And that's actually 1 day after the K3 was launched. So, yeah, and of course, during the demo there, the church member, the pastor, the decision maker were like, hey, we saw the K3. So we can't wait to hear and know more about the K3. So they tried the Kara tool for the demo. They like it. It sounded amazing to them. So they were thinking K3 must be better than Kara tool. So can you give us a proposal or the new design based on K3? Yeah. So that's where they decide on the K3.
That's great. So they actually chose L-Acoustics over all the other brands and listened to Kara 2, loved the sound of that, and thought that the full range solution that is K3 would be an ideal solution for their particular church. Now, I wonder if you could show us a little bit about the design. Would you want to pop your sound vision screen up here?
All right.
Oh, there it is. Fantastic. Looks like, okay, this is quite a
wide venue.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like, what is that, about 40 meters wide or something? Pretty close to that?
Yep. Yes.
And, well, even more maybe.
Yeah, more than 40 meters.
More than 40 meters. So it's actually wider than it is deep. And I see the PA here looks to be a left-right PA with, is it 9 aside K3?
It's a yes, correct. It's a 9 aside K3 with 2 Cara 2 as downfill. The reason that we choose the Cara 2 as downfill is because of the trim height. As you can see, the trim height is pretty low as if you're going to have a big array here as compared with the Cara 2. So instead of a full rig of a K3, we used the Cara 2 as a downfill to cover the front audience area.
Right, and this is really important for everyone to remember, is that with the ability to put Cara 2 below K3, we can actually increase the amount of curvature that the line source can have at the bottom. And by increasing the curvature, we actually reduce the SPL through purely mechanical means, right? So we take the same amount of energy and we spread it over a larger area, and that's a really great solution without taking up a lot of height or weight. And of course, last and not least, Q, the most important thing is it costs a bit less than a couple of K3 when you don't really need the extra LF for this particular application.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it looks like 4KS28, is that behind or is that beside? A little hard to tell from the, oh, it looks like it's directly behind, huh?
Yes, it's directly behind the 4KS28 is right behind the K3.
Oh, wow. And built-in front fills, and then it looks like some outfill and center fill of A15.
Right, yes. So we have the A15 as an outfill and center fill, and a row of a 5XT as front fill.
Oh, that's great. And this venue is pretty wide, so I'm assuming are all or most of the K3 at 110 degrees, or are the top circuits, is that a little narrower for the throw to the back?
The entire array is running 110.
Yeah, and that's great to have, obviously, that ability to have that wide coverage for a venue like this.
Yes.
That's really, really nice. So what's the maximum performance we can get out of this system in this venue, like A-weight SPL? Can we turn on the mapping mode here in Sound Vision,
Sure.
the coverage mode, pardon me? All right, so looking at that in maximum A-weight SPL, looks like we're somewhere around an average in the venue of about 105, huh?
Yes.
That's quite spectacular for such a large venue. I mean, that seems like more than enough SPL for church service. Do they do other things in this venue just besides church?
Purely for church.
Wow, that's great. This is really, really nice. And the distribution of that SPL, so distribution is let's say the loudest to the quietest spot is 6.5 dB. That's actually great. So that means,
Yep.
what, plus or minus 3, give or take?
3.25, yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of that. That tells us that if you're sitting in the front, the middle, or the back, it's going to be very consistent and very similar in all of those spots. That's really a great indication for a design. Well, fantastic. So have they done a service yet with this Q?
Not yet. It's they have a lockdown again.
Oh, so in a couple of weeks, once we're past COVID here, they'll get to do a service with their brand new system. Yes. I suppose the good news is they have a couple extra weeks to finish every little detail and make it as perfect as possible.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, this looks great. So today, guys, at NAMM, we've talked all about a new music venue in Los Angeles. We've talked to Martin about a venue in Copenhagen. And we've talked to Q about a house of worship in Bangkok, Thailand. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your local application engineer, your certified provider, your sales manager. You can check our website for that information. Q, thank you very much for joining us today. It is always great to see you. I don't know what time it is in Singapore, but thank you for either staying up late, getting up early, or both. I really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you soon. Everyone, have a great rest of your NAMM 2021. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.